Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Gunman. So today I decided to do another update on the Torana. It's been a while since we've done an update vid on the Torana, but I'm at the point where I've probably done a few things to it that I haven't showed you guys, so I guess let's get into it. But yeah, the most recent thing that I've done is polish the bonnet. So one of the beautiful things about the way that I've gone about this job is that being that I'm kind of not in a hurry, it's not in a workshop environment, I sort of get time to hone or refine the exact procedure that I'm going to take, because like the way that you do resto work compared to how you do smash work, it is very different. So yeah, the way that you use those products and materials is going to be a fair bit different. So the reason I say that is because at work we're sort of more the refinishing, you know, making cars look like factory paintwork, whereas with this I'm going that next step. So I'm going for like sort of a show finish, I guess you would nearly call it. Look, honestly, it didn't need a polish. Like, it looked really good off the gun. There's a little bit of fine orange peel in it, but as I've mentioned in previous videos, I went into this job wanting a few certain things out of it, or it's more things that I didn't want out of it. So I didn't want solvent oil, I didn't want a thick, excessive orange peel. So in order to do that, yeah, I had to do a few things differently when I was painting, so I just made sure I didn't overload it. But in saying that, I needed 4 coats on it. Well, I wanted 4 coats on it. Hindsight, 3 coats probably would have been enough. I did put 4 coats on bonnet, roof and boot lid, but 3 down the sides. But like I say, I think in hindsight, 3 probably would have been enough even to block back. So yeah, so I didn't get any heavy orange peel. I did get a fine orange peel, but a fine orange peel. So what have we got, a marker here somewhere? I'll sort of show you what I mean. So when you spray sort of like any paint, you're going to get some sort of a texture in it, right? It doesn't matter how good you are. Like, yeah, you're always going to get some. And if you do get it ultra flat, you do definitely run the risk of solvent boil. And what that is basically air bubbles trapped underneath the surface of the paint. I did get some very minor on the bonnet, but it was high enough up on the clear that it was right on the surface. So they did actually look like sort of very tiny. If you were to zoom in on it, they were like that, right? So that's the surface of your paint, and there was some very sort of small divots in it. So what basically had happened, let's just say that's your paint, you know, that's all your primers and all that underneath. This is your paint. So when you're putting your coats on, let's just say that's your 1, 2, 3, let's just say 3 coats. Well, there was actually 4 on there, so we'll put an extra one in there. So what's happened is all these gases do need to release before you, when your first coat's on, you need to let those gases release before you go and put your second one on, and so on. So what has obviously happened is those gases were releasing, and when they get to the top, they pop, right? So, but my point is that at least when I did it, they got to the top, right? So they did at least get to the top. What can happen if you put too much on too quick, those gases, the top has, say, skinned over, and the gases can't actually make it out, so they'll pop underneath, right? So what you're left with is these bubbles which are underneath. You're never going to get rid of that. You can sand it as much as you like, you're always going to have an imperfect broken finish, because you'll break through to a couple of them, but then there's going to be a few more down underneath that. So I hope that sort of explains solvent boil to you guys pretty well, but that's basically what's going on with this solvent boil. So yeah, and basically my idea also was that that last sort of coat and a half is a sacrificial coat, right? So I'm blocking into that to get that flat finish, right? And the next thing that I was going to talk about is the orange peel, right? So if you zoom in again, let's just pretend we're zooming in on that paintwork. When you go and put your paint on thick without much thinners in it, you're basically getting, that's what's happening, you know, you're getting that ripple effect, right? So when you put it on too thick, to get that paint flat, because there is flat paint, there's enough paint on there underneath, you know, you got all your coats and that, but then to get that flat, if those mountains are sort of deeper, right, and further apart, it's going to take a lot more blocking until you cut till you got your nice flat paint underneath. Whereas if you get like a tight orange peel, it goes like that, so it might, technically there'll be more of the highs and lows, but it'll be much shallower, right? So that's another thing that I got. Whereas, yeah, if you go and have a thick paint and you put it on too wet, that is the kind of finish that you'll get, like a very thick, wavy orange peel. So I hope that makes sense. It's pretty basic, really. But apart from that, yeah, so I have done that bonnet. I've cut and polished it. I noticed one or two little spots that I'm going to revisit with the buff when I got the buff out on the rest of the car, but it is looking incredible. I haven't actually gone and washed this car. It's about due for a wash, but either way, you can see from there, like you can see the reflection of that light. It's just, it's perfect, you know, you can just see the reflection, yeah, perfectly. Whereas if you go to the top of that guard, you can see it's a little bit broken, and that's that orange peel that I was talking about before. But hey, as I say, it's not a heavy orange peel, and there is no solvent boil through the rest of the car. I did have that very minor stuff, but like I say, it managed to get to the top. But when I did that bonnet, so I hit it with, I'll show you guys now. So I hit it with 1200, so 1200 grit. Yeah, 1200 grit there. So that's with water, right? So that's wet and dry sandpaper. And I did a little bit of trial and error, like I was saying at the start of this video. One of the things about doing restoration work is the procedure will be different. I never do this at work, right? I never chop the paint back with 1200 grit looking for a dead flat finish. It's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for a factory finish, which does have a little bit of orange peel in it. But yeah, so what I did, I hit it with that. And where are these other sandpapers I had? So we've got 5000s there, 2000s there. And I did actually have, I actually had some 1500. Either way, I seem to have lost my 1500 grit discs, but I did have some 1500, like 1500 grit. For the big, so 150 mil sander. So it was, yeah, 1200 grit, 1500 grit on the Trizact, on the orbital with water, right? And then I went 2000, which are these ones. I thought I'd try something different. One of the 3M guys said this is really good for refining the scratches. I found them maybe not quite the best. So that's why after doing that bonnet, I did go and order another pack of these. Previously, these were always my favorite. So these are done dry, right? And another part of it may be, so the orbital sander that I've got, this is just a piss weak. It is absolutely terrible. And it is just gutless. It's got no torque to it. And I've pretty much gone off Roops as a brand after this, and one of the polishers that we've got at work, piss weak. It's just, it dies all the time, the triggers will go, the brushes will go. I'm all in on Flex. The Flex polisher is brushless, and like the torque in that thing is incredible. Either way, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but I do mention it because the performance of your orbital sander makes a big difference, right? So because I was using the 1500 grit and the 3000s and even these 2000s all wet, anytime you had the water on it, it was stalling, right? So with an orbital sander, it's dual action, right? So there's two actions to it. One of the actions is to go around in circle, and the other one is sort of to go side to side, right? So it's going side to side as it's going around in circles. If you lose your rotation, the sander's not doing much. It's just basically hovering there and going side to side. You're really not getting much performance out of your sandpaper or that. So I did find it was just okay when you put lots of water on there, or when it was dry. So the dry sanding was fine, right? So that's a big part of the reason why I ditched that 1500 grit. So I do have some of these 1500 grit for Trizact discs for that. They just didn't work. And some of the scratches that it left behind were massive. So what I ended up doing, I did go 3000 and 5000. So I went, yeah, the 2000, then 3000, then 5000, and hit it with the buff, and there was just scratches all over it. So I missed a lot of scratches. But what I decided to do is just run the entire buff over it, right? Get it shiny, and that basically showed me the areas that needed a bit more attention, right? So basically anything that was still shiny was the low spot. So that was kind of my guide coat. But ultimately it looks awesome now, but I definitely did not get it right the first time. But yeah, apart from that, that's the difference in the cutback flat compared to the off the gun finish. So like I say, the off the gun finish is not terrible, but you can definitely go another level from there. So Yeah, looking very good. And underneath the bonnet, so since last we talked, I think I might have put that new carby on. So the carby is, they say, a copy of a Weber 38. So it's a double-throated carby. Annoyingly, ever since putting that on, it wants to stall. I've called them up, and all they really basically just said you can change your idle. It's not really much help. So with the Stromberg, it never used to do that. Like, it would only ever stall when it was cold, right? But now, even when it's warm, if you go to put your foot right down and floor it, it'll just choke out, and the entire car will stall. So it's kind of annoying, but I don't know. As a spray painter, I'm pretty much head up against the wall. I don't know what to do to fix it. But apart from that, I did put a electronic distributor on it. So that's DSM Motorsport. Yeah, so you got to change the coil as well when you go to electronic. Yeah, like I say, the next thing I'm going to do is just choose a panel pretty much, maybe boot lid or something, boot lid or the roof. I'm looking forward to using some of this. So this is a new Sonax product, so which is ceramic coating CC1. So the idea of this is that it's just a one-stage long-term sealant, as you can see there. So it's not a two-stage. I do actually have this. I might actually give Stefan a call and see if we can do a stack, you know what I mean? See if I can hit it with this first and then go on top of it with that and sort of stack them and get like an even improved sort of ceramic coating over the top of it. But yeah, that'll be a bit of fun to do. Since polishing this bonnet, it rained. Like, I took it out because I use this all the time. It's not a daily driver because I don't drive it to work, but if I'm ever on holidays or weekends, always drive it, you know. The Corolla just gets parked up. But yeah, when it's really hot, because it doesn't have an aircon in there yet, I may get an aircon for it, but yeah, it's another $3,000+ to get that. So at this point, I'm sort of holding off because yeah, the build is getting quite expensive. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to wire in some automatic headlights. So I think I need a relay. I know exactly what I need to do. I've got the relay, actually. I've got it there. And I'm going to wire it in so that as soon as you turn the ignition on, the headlights come on, and when you turn it off, they turn off as well, because I'm terrible for it. Like, my memory must not be what it was when I was younger. But yeah, today I just went out, parked it at the shops. 2 hours later, I come back. I'm like, oops, I forgot to turn the headlights off. But luckily they're LEDs, and it doesn't seem, I've never had a flat battery, so that's always a good thing. But either way, it's all a bit of fun there, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this little update. Hope you've all been well. Hope you had a good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. So yeah, coming up very soon, we're going to be doing some polishing videos. So until then, Gunman out.